So the first thing most important is, why is injury prevention important? So, otherwise, why bother doing it? So the thing that we want to get across to you is 74% of injuries that we see in rowing are overuse. So generally that means there's something we can do about it, because if we can actually train people in the right way or be aware of what they're doing, we should actually be able to prevent those injuries. Here's one of the answers for you. The most common ones that we see in rowing are actually low back pain and knee. And then depending on the age of the athlete, after that it can either be chest wall if it's more elite rowers. It can actually be more forearm if it's your junior or school age rowers. And often that can be due more to technical issues, so that makes sense. And then in your masters rower, it can actually be dependent. If it's a younger masters rower, it tends to be lower limb. If it's an older masters rower, then it can be upper limb. And one of the reasons we think that might be is just as you get into the older categories in masters rowing, you might start losing some of your lower limb strength. So then you start to emphasize upper body strength instead. But that's just a theory. But it's interesting that through different categories of rowing, you'll actually start to see some different injuries. This is probably one of the most important things we want to get across to you, is that there's a higher point prevalence of low back pain in adolescent rowers. So point prevalence means you take a group of people and you just ask everyone if they actually have, at that point in time, have any low back pain or have had any low back pain. And adolescent rowers have a much higher point prevalence than any other population, so anyone that doesn't do sport and in other sports as well. So we do have a real problem in rowing that we need to address. And again, the problem with that is we know the biggest predictor of having low back pain is a previous episode of low back pain. So if we're allowing adolescents to have low back pain, we're actually almost setting them up for ongoing back pain throughout their life. And 50% of collegiate rowers actually then ended up having back pain after rowing. So you can see it's very high. And there's also long-term health consequences with this. If someone's having ongoing back pain, they're likely to actually stop rowing, but potentially stop other sports as well. We know that we're having an epidemic of obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease. So if you are working with younger rowers, you need to really think about the impact that it could have them in later life as well. So we do have a responsibility to try and reduce the amount of low back pain that we're having in this population.
At Decent Rowing, our goal is to get world-class rowing information into the hands of everyone. One of the easiest ways to do that is through our email list. We send out tips and tricks on rowing on a regular basis. If you want, you can sign up. As a sign-up bonus, you get 21 of our best rowing videos, including beginner and advanced rowing videos. We've also chucked in a couple of basic training programs and a training piece. So if you want to sign up, you can see what it's all about.